Welcome to Movie Speeching. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take good care. Red Cliff Part 2 is the name of the movie. Please like and subscribe to get every update. The film begins with the appointment of a man named Cao Cao as Prime Minister. He began a decades-long series of battles with lubricant and a united rebellion by Sun Quan against the Emperor. Cao soon decides to open a Kuja game in his camp to boost the soldiers' morale. He doesn't know much about Sun Shangshan, an enemy spy disguised as one of his soldiers. After quickly leaving her army, she discovered that many of Cao's soldiers had died of typhoid before she could use the pigeonhole to reveal information to Quan. Interrupted by the approaching soldiers, she immediately hides the pigeon in her armor while pretending to watch the matches in Quan's camp. His general Zhao Yun prepared an attack plan with other officials despite a decades-long string of defeats against the bull. Zhao calmly tells the officials that they will attack Cao's navy as Sun seeks to release the pigeon's message. She accidentally hits Sun Chikai, a battalion commander, after casually saying she was just releasing the bird. The two chatted as their conversation gained momentum. They agreed to play a few games together. The moment Bo was informed that hundreds of soldiers had died from a plague-like disease, while his generals decided how to cremate the bodies, Bo came up with a sinister plan. When Zhao heard of the epidemic spreading in Cao's camp, his officials quickly urged him to always attack calmly. And serene as always, Zhao sternly said that it would be against the ethics of war if they attacked a cow in their current state. Soon after, Zhao's men discovered floating cakes with piles of corpses landing on their shores while they were examining the dead soldiers. The warlord Lubui of Jigaliang examined their blood upon discovering it emerged that the soldiers were infected with typhoid. Despite seeing his people suffer from the disease, Zhao said it became a psychological war. However, he bitterly proceeded to burn the bodies. Unfortunately, Zhao faced new challenges when the fever spread rapidly among his people, increasing day by day. Lu withdrew his army the next day, breaking the alliance with Zhao. Lu told the generals that the epidemic had devastated Zhao's people as an argument began to arise between them. Zhuge pushes Lu aside despite his efforts to persuade the general to stay. Lu insists that he must focus on the survival of his people, believing that the war is lost. Lu breaks up with Jiao after hearing that the plague was successfully transferred to Zhao's people. Cao meets with Naval Admirals Kai Mao and Zhang Yun. They discuss the new war strategies and tactics they brought into their ships after that Cao asked Zhang to leave. Zhao's childhood friend had to cross the river to tell Zhao to surrender. Sun listened intently inside one of the ships as she recorded every detail of their conversation. However, she is confronted by Shukai and his battalion as she leaves the ship as he orders his men to leave Shukai and his son. Playing a new game called Climbing High as the sun rose from the ground, she saw the entire true camp spread out in the distance. Pretending to admire the view, she asked Shukai to stand still while she carried the entire area land outside the wall back. Quan's camp. Zhuge suggested that he could make 100,000 arrows to make up for the loss of the missing people even though Zhao gave him a 10-day deadline. Zhuge complacently says that he only needs 3 arrows, but near the end of the deal, an official comments that Zhuge still needs to create even 1 arrow using the turtle he found as a sign. Zhuge smiled and calmly predicted fog was coming. That evening, Zhang went to Zhao's camp and had a meal with him after a few glasses of wine. Zhao continued to demonstrate his sword dancing skills, but Zhang quickly noticed a bill fall out of his sword sheath before he could grab the paper. Zhao immediately stopped and punched him in the sleeve. Suddenly Zhao's cheerful appearance faded and he accused Zhang of being Cao's ambassador while Zhang frantically denied it. A soldier interrupted them to talk to Zhao as Zhang tried to listen. He ran into Xiao Chao Zhao's wife, but Zhao came between them and invited Zhang to drink more with him as if nothing had happened that night. Zhang approached Zhao, who was unconscious, and took back the paper, opening it. He saw Mai's text indicating that he would quickly take the lead. He fled towards Cao's camp as the night drew on Cao's camp. One of his men suddenly screamed at the sight. Zhuge's ships appeared from the distant mist behind gathered arrows and summoned soldiers, who remained at their positions. Zhuge then ordered his ships to move into a line, placing the 2 enemy fleets in a line. A strange standoff ensued. From inside the hay-covered boats, Zhuge ordered arrows to be launched towards Sal's fleet. This made Sal's men feel dominant over the hundreds of thousands of arrows on the ship. Juga smiled contentedly inside his ship as his hay ships collected hundreds of thousands of arrows like several ships. Juke ordered them back. Many arrows were fired into the hay boat as the drum moved again after Sal's men stopped firing. Juga unfortunately brought his ships home. When they returned to shore, one of the ships crashed into the river. When the cow confirmed that the letter that Jang had stolen was from me, he went to meet the admirals without surrendered, as the admirals had assured Cow that Juga's ships had fled. Cow then wondered how many arrows they had used in the feudal war when the admirals estimated that 100,000 one of Juga's ships were nearby their dock and one approach. In outrage, Cal reveals the treasonous note despite the admiral's claim that it was a hoax. Bo ordered his men to behead the traitors, but when their heads left their lifeless bodies, Bo suddenly realized his mistake. He was no longer an admiral, leading his navy right after a cow poisoned Jang. Unaware of Ju's tricks, angry at his recent losses, he shouted to his men that they would take Zich Cross immediately. Sun quickly recorded the activity as soldiers frantically rounded up horses and dispatched pigeons. Unfortunately, a soldier calls Sun, revealing she is a spy, defeating the soldiers. His son ran away. Luckily, Shukai helps her escape when she tells him that she has to see her family for a long time. She said goodbye to him knowing that he could do it too, already dead. Meanwhile, Cow feared that more and more of his soldiers were infected with fever as they lost hope. The cow spoke softly about his sick son, slowly encouraging them to be strong and fight for their family. As he left the tent, surrounded by sick and healthy men, they welcomed him as they shouted their victory cry. Later that night, Sun arrived at Jeo's camp without delay. She quickly showed them a card she carried under her clothes. She exposes it and highlights the camp's weaknesses in different areas. The next day, they discussed battle strategy and agreed to use firepower. Luckily, Zhao noticed the wind was blowing from the northwest and demonstrated that if they used fire, it would only burn their own fleet. He further suggests that the cow knows this and may also use fire. Juga noticed the clouds were dark and covering the sun. He interpreted this as a sign that the wind would change immediately. He says that they must delay the attack in time so that the wind is in their favor, and at the same time prepare for war. The woman informed Jeo that Xiao was missing. He quickly ran to his wife's room to find a letter. He read it and discovered that Xiao was on his way to the cow in hopes of convincing him to stop fighting. Painting. Additionally, Xiao explained in the letter that she was pregnant but assured him that she would be returned safely when Xiao was invited to Saw's Chambers. Cow recalls his feelings for her when he first saw her when they were young with a bittersweet tone. Xiao remembers how much her father loved the cow, but she points out that he has changed and is no longer the same. Gentle yet cruel, she immediately begged the cow to stop the war for the sake of the civilians. When the cow refused, Xiao quickly grabbed a nearby sword and threatened to kill him. Luckily, the cow stopped her in time and explained that she must have seen Zhao's fall. Xiao remembered that she had to do this. Delaying Sal's attack to let the wind favor Zhao, she innocently invites him to tea before he can enlist. Hypnotized by her childhood sweetheart, the cow walks in and spends time with Xiao as she distracted him with her beauty and words. Cal barely noticed the changing wind. Outside the window, suddenly the cow began to feel the dizzying side effects of the tea. At the same time, Quan's men arrived at the south gate. Next to them were free people who decided to return when the victory changed direction. The order was issued immediately. The army sends ram into Sal's fleet, devouring them in fire while Zhao's men hurl incendiary bombs at enemy ships while their remaining soldiers invade the lands beyond. Cao stared horribly into the sea of flames as his men tried to retreat amidst the burning cargo and incendiary bombs flying everywhere. Are slowly being slaughtered on the battlefield, but Sal's men quickly retaliate by peppering Ju's men on land with arrows while more arrows and flaming catapults are exchanged. Ju's men hiding in the bushes throw bombs at Sal's body against the wall while the free men attack from the back door. Advanced towards the front door despite heavy fire and arrows. Unfortunately, their efforts to break the door were in vain as one of Zhao's generals was shot. He came up with an idea, immediately took a bunch of bombs and threw them at the door. He died in the blazing inferno, who suddenly appeared among the arrows and spears flying in the air. Quan's men massacred Sal's men and horses, then Zhao proceeded to burn a series of barrels filled with fish oil. A series of explosions killed more soldiers, causing the survivors to retreat when the bull smoke clears saw that Zhao's men had regrouped into groups protected by their army. Cover despite General Sov stubbornly asking Cal to retreat. What was left of his men to attack. Another fight ensued as Saw's men launched fireballs towards Ju's troops as Zhao's men scattered. They faced an surprise attack from the archers, although Zhao's men were defeated. They continued to advance amidst fierce fighting, which Zhao managed to penetrate inside Saw. The inner walls received all the soldiers inside at once. Sun tries to reunite Shukai despite the bloody situation. They smiled with relief when they suddenly met each other again. Sun's face darkened when Shukai was shot with an arrow. Stunned, she clung to him as he slowly died and smiled in his arms, while Zhao charged the bull into one of the buildings. While holding off more enemy soldiers, he and the bull managed to stand at sword point. They slowly walked out. The battle calmed down as Quan threatened to shoot an arrow. Cal threatened to kill Zhao, and the cow explained that all would be forgiven if they surrendered, but Sal's men suddenly appeared and told he said they lost, and the war is over. Suddenly, a soldier from above threatened to kill the frightened Zhao, causing the atmosphere to become more tense. Quan and Zhao lowered their weapons, then smirked like a cow, ordering Zhao to be thrown out of court. Home immediately. Zhao managed to escape Sal's arms and jumped into the building just in time to give his beloved wife some relief. When she assured him that she was fine with seeing all the soldiers dying in the chaos they had created, Zhao told the cow to go home. He concludes by saying that no one wins in this war but the dead. The film ends with Juga and Zhao each wishing for something, other fortunes in an open field as they enjoy their newfound peaceful life. Thank you for watching. See you on the next video.